I died on a rainy Thursday, alone, cold, and betrayed by the very people I gave up everything to raise. My name is Chen Lin. I wasn't born rich. I wasn't born lucky. But when our parents died in a car accident and I was only 15, I made a choice: drop out of school, give up my teenage years, and raise my 3 younger siblings like they were my own children. I worked day and night in factories, restaurants, doing everything from cleaning houses to delivering packages. I never complained, not even once, because I believed in family. I believed that one day, when they grew up, they would understand the sacrifices I made. I thought they'd look at me with love, with gratitude. I dreamed of sitting at a dinner table with them, grown up, happy, successful, all of us laughing about the hard days we had survived together. But the truth is, not every seed you water blooms into a flower. Sometimes, it grows into thorns that cut you when your back is turned. It all started to fall apart the day I told them I had taken out a life insurance policy in case anything happened to me. I thought I was protecting them. Instead, I handed them the knife they'd later twist into my back. Xiao Mei, my youngest sister, used to cry every night when she was little. I held her until she slept. I skipped meals so she could eat. I helped pay her college fees, even when it meant sleeping on the floor of a shared apartment. And my brothers, Xiao Yu, the middle one, he had asthma when he was little. I remember running for miles just to get him medicine on time. And Lin Lin, the baby of the family, he once told me I was more of a mother to him than anyone else could be. But once they got jobs, made friends, and started living comfortably under the roof I built, things changed. Slowly, the warmth in their eyes disappeared. The thanks became demands. My love became a burden. You act like you did us a favor, Xiao Mei once snapped, when I refused to pay for her luxury vacation. Raising us was your duty. My heart cracked that day. But I smiled. I still believed she didn't mean it, that maybe she was just stressed or tired. I let their words slide when they mocked my plain clothes. I ignored the way they looked embarrassed when I joined them at public events. I forgave the eye rolls, the sarcasm, the way they talked over me when I tried to give advice. I kept making excuses for them, over and over, because that's what big sisters do. Or so I thought, but nothing prepared me for what they did next. One evening, they invited me to a family dinner. It was supposed to be a celebration. Lin Lin had just gotten promoted, and Zhao Yu said he had something important to share. I was genuinely happy. I even bought a new dress, cheap but clean, and baked their favorite red bean cake, just like old times. But the dinner table was cold that night. Too quiet, too forced. And then they said it. Big sis, Xiao Yu said, you've worked so hard all your life. Don't you think it's time you rest? Xiao Mei chimed in, smiling too sweetly. We were thinking, if something ever happened to you, that policy you signed would take care of all of us. I didn't understand at first. I laughed nervously, thinking it was some kind of bad joke. But then Lin Lin looked me straight in the eye and said, 50 million, sis. If you die, we each get 50 million. That's all we need. Your job would be done, forever. I couldn't breathe. My chest tightened. I looked at the faces I loved more than anything, and all I saw was greed. Cold, calculating greed. That night, I ran. I didn't pack. I didn't speak. I just left. But they weren't done. They found my ex, Qin Huai, the one man who had once waited for me for years, who kept coming back to the village, even after I pushed him away for their sake. They told him I'd moved away, that I'd changed my number, that I didn't want to see him again. All lies, because deep down, they feared that if I married and had a child, the inheritance would never come to them. They didn't just want me gone, they wanted me erased. I crashed that night. The car brakes failed on a mountain road. Some said it was an accident. But I remembered how Lin had insisted I take his car, how Xiaoyu handed me the keys with a strange smile. I remembered how quiet the engine was before it went dead. They thought I died, but fate had other plans. I woke up days later in a small hospital in a fishing town. An old couple had pulled me from the wreckage. I was bruised, broken, but breathing. And for the first time, I saw clearly. I had sacrificed everything, my youth, my dreams, my health, for 3 people who would have rather seen me buried than happy. I had no money left, no home, no family. But I had something else now, a second chance. This time, I won't give my life away. This time, I will take back everything they stole, and when they least expect it, when they think they've won, I'll return. Not as their sister, not as their victim, but as their reckoning. I didn't return right away. I spent almost a year in that quiet fishing village, healing in more ways than one. Physically, the doctors said it was a miracle I survived. Mentally, I was wrecked. But something inside me refused to break. I kept thinking about everything I gave up. School, love, comfort, even my name. All to be a sister, a parent, a protector. And they repaid me with betrayal. The old couple who saved me, Uncle Hai and Auntie Wen, took me in, like their own daughter. They never asked questions about my past. They just gave me space to breathe. And it was in that stillness that I found my new beginning. I changed my name. Chen Lin no longer existed. I became Su Ning. During those long, quiet nights, I started learning again. I watched business lectures online. I studied branding, sales, and marketing. I remembered all the little tricks I had picked up during my years of odd jobs. How to negotiate prices, how to talk to clients, how to turn nothing into something. I started small, homemade snacks at the morning market, then local specialty products. Within 6 months, I was running a small but popular e-commerce business. But money wasn't my end goal. It was just a tool, a weapon. I wasn't just surviving anymore. I was preparing. Back in Ninghai, my siblings thought I was dead. I watched from afar as they put on their sad faces, held a memorial, and claimed my assets. Everything I built over 2 decades. My house, the Chen Group shares, my savings. They divided it like vultures. Xiaomei even did a tearful interview on local TV, calling me the best sister in the world. It made me sick. But I wasn't angry anymore. I was focused. I used my new identity to get close to the Chen Group again. Quietly, carefully, I found an opening as a junior investor, working under a different name. No one recognized me. After all, to them, I was just a dead woman. And under my new identity, I had become sharper, stronger, and colder. The same hands that once made porridge and stitched clothes for my siblings now signed contracts and forged deals with powerful partners. One of those partners was Qin Huai. He hadn't given up. All this time, he had continued searching. After hearing the truth, that I never abandoned him, that I was betrayed, his eyes turned darker, fiercer. He had become a well-known investor by then, running his own firm. When I met him again, he stared for a long moment before whispering, "You're still alive." I nodded, tears in my eyes, but I didn't fall apart. There was no time for that. We had work to do. Together, we began to reclaim what was mine. Piece by piece, we discovered that Xiaoyu had sold off some of my old properties under the table. Linlin had used my name to secure illegal loans, and Xiaomei had transferred the bulk of the Chen Group shares to her name by forging documents right after my death. Everything they built was stolen. Everything they owned was mine. But we didn't confront them yet, not directly. Instead, I made moves from the shadows. First, we leaked a small scandal about Chen Group's unethical hiring practices. It was subtle, just enough to trigger a routine investigation. Then, a sudden market shift that made their stock prices drop overnight. They were desperate for help, and that's when I came in. As Suning, I offered to buy a portion of the company. Xiaomei welcomed me with open arms, flattered by the attention from a rising investor. She didn't even blink when she handed me access to their internal files. That's where I found it. The final proof: bank transfers, fake IDs, even the mechanic they paid to cut my brakes. They didn't just wish me dead. They made it happen. They tried to murder me. I stared at the screen for a long time. It should have hurt. It should have broken me. But all I felt was calm, because now I had them exactly where I wanted. Still, I hesitated. Not because I forgave them. I didn't. But deep down, a small part of me wanted to know why. Why did the people I raised with love and warmth turn into monsters? So I invited them to a dinner, the same way they once invited me. They walked in, laughing, still arrogant, still blind. And then I stepped out of the shadows. For a moment, time froze. Xiaomei dropped her wine glass. Linlin went pale. Xiaoyu actually gasped. "You," he whispered. "You're dead." I smiled. "No," I said. "I was just sleeping. But now I'm wide awake." They stammered, stuttered, trying to lie, trying to twist things. But I had everything. Documents, audio recordings, witnesses. The truth was a sword in my hands, and I was no longer afraid to swing it. But I didn't call the police. Not yet. "I want one thing from you," I said calmly. "Confess, in your own words, publicly. Tell the world what you did, and then disappear from my life forever." They refused, of course. So now, we're here. They're cornered. Their secrets exposed. The Chen Group is crumbling. Their friends have turned their backs. The same people they used to impress now whisper behind their backs. But they still don't understand. They think I'm here for revenge. They're wrong. I'm here to rebuild. Not the company, not the money, but myself. They took everything from me once. This time, I'll take back even more. And I'm just getting started. But just when I thought everything was finally falling into place, something unexpected happened. Xiaoyu showed up alone one night at my apartment building. He looked thinner, tired, and nothing like the arrogant brother who once smirked while taking my house. He didn't say anything at first, just stood there, holding an old photo of the four of us from when we were kids. I hadn't seen that picture in years. I used to keep it on my nightstand, back when I still believed love was enough. He finally spoke. "I didn't know about the breaks. I swear, Jai. I didn't know they'd go that far." I wanted to believe him, but that soft voice was the same one he used when he lied to get out of homework, or talked me into giving him my last money. Still, something about the way he clutched that photo, the way his eyes shimmered like he hadn't slept in days. It stirred something in me, maybe guilt, maybe sadness. But I didn't let it distract me. "You still took the money. You still signed the papers. You still stood there and said nothing when they buried me with lies." He didn't argue. He just nodded, his voice barely above a whisper. "I'm sorry, I really am, but I know it's too late." He left after that, quietly, just like he came, and in the days that followed, it all started to unravel for them. Linlin was the first to fall. News broke that she had falsified loan documents under my name, and the bank filed a fraud complaint. Her face, once smiling on magazine covers, was now plastered across headlines with words like embezzlement and fake heiress. She disappeared from social media overnight. Xiaomei tried to fight back, threatening to sue for defamation, but I released the recording, the one where she laughed and said, "She was just a burden anyway. We did her a favor." Public opinion turned against her faster than I expected. Endorsement deals pulled out. The Chen Group's board voted her out. She was left with nothing but a stained name and a mansion full of regrets. And as for the Chen Group, it was gone. What they built off my blood and sweat collapsed under the weight of their greed. Investors fled. Partners cut ties. In the end, all that remained was a hollow shell, just like the love they once claimed to have for me. But I didn't feel joy watching them fall. No victory in watching their faces crumble. Instead, I felt peace. For the first time in years, I was no longer carrying their burdens, no longer chasing approval, or clinging to the idea that family always means love. Sometimes it just means shared blood, and that's not always enough. Qin Huai stood by me through it all, quietly, without pushing. He didn't try to be the hero of my story. He just reminded me I wasn't alone anymore, and that maybe, just maybe, I didn't have to be strong every second of the day. One afternoon, we sat on the beach near the village, where I'd started over. The sun was setting, and I looked at the waves, thinking how far I'd come. I thought revenge would fix everything, I told him. He didn't answer right away, just looked at me, then said, "It didn't fix it, but it freed you." He was right. I didn't rebuild my life to hurt them. I rebuilt it to reclaim myself, to remind myself I wasn't just a shadow of sacrifice. I was someone with dreams, strength, and a future. Now I run a foundation under my new name, Su Ning Initiative. It helps girls like me, ones who had to grow up too fast, who gave too much, and were left with too little. We give them education, shelter, and most importantly, hope. And as for the siblings who betrayed me, I don't check on them anymore. I don't need to. They're part of my past, a painful chapter in a book I've finally finished. My story isn't about revenge anymore. It's about rebirth. From the girl who gave up everything to the woman who took it all back. And if there's one thing I've learned, it's this. Sometimes, losing everything is the only way to find yourself again. And when you do, you rise stronger, fiercer, unshakable, reborn.